Welcome to another technical drawing video. In this video, we will be learning about some of the things we do before we actually start our drawing. In the last video, we looked at the different parts of the AutoCAD screen and learned what each part is used for, or what are some of the commands that we will find in each section. All right, the first one we looked at last week was the application button. And that's where I'm going to go to create a new file. All right, so I click the arrow, select new, select my template. The template that I'm using is AEC model in bracket global CTB. Once I click that, I just press open. All right, once I open it, you realize I'm seeing drawing 6 coming up in the file tab, and in the title bar, I'm seeing drawing 6 as well. What I can do is to go back to the application button, or I go to the quick access toolbar, click the save icon, and it will ask me where I want to save it. All right, I want to save it in documents as I'm going to save it as plain geometry hyphen my name. All right, once I type that, I click save, and then the file will be saved. So if you look back at the file tab and the title bar, you will see the name being reflected there. All right. In my last video, I said that well, personally, I don't draw with the grid and the snap to grid points. I turn those off. All right, but remember that you need to have your dynamic input on. Your scale should be 1:1, and then you can decide whether you're using ortho mode or you're using polar tracking. All right. So once I create the file and I save the file, the next thing that I will do is to check my units. Now, the way I check my units is that I type dd unit in the command line, and you do not have to click in the command line to type. So once you type, then it goes in the command line. Sometimes when you type in, when you start what you're typing, you realize that the the word is coming up. So you can just press enter once you see it, and then um, whatever you type, whatever you requested will come up. All right, so let's go again. I'm typing DD unit, DD unit, and then I press enter. DD unit stands for drawing units. All right. If you're drawing in millimeters or meters, you should ensure that your length type is in decimal. All right, precision varies. This is if you have measurements that has a decimal place. So if you have something that is 1.192, the precision that I will select would have to be 3 decimal places or more. All right, if I select 2, it means that one of the decimal places would be left off because the value that I have has 3. All right, so that's how you will use the precision. You have to know the measurements that you're using. All right. Um, for architectural is when you're using feet and inches. So if you're drawing in feet and inches, you will have to set your length type to architectural. Precision, 0 feet, 0 inches. All right. But for this video, we're going to use decimal because we're going to draw in millimeters. So let's use decimal. All right. And we only adjust the length for now. All right. We only allow the length. We only adjust the length for now. So once I do that, I press OK. Once I check my drawing units, I press OK. All right. So I'm going to use some of the commands now, just just so we see how the commands are used. All right, the first one that I'm going to use, and I know in the last video you would have seen me draw lines. All right, the first one that I'm going to use is line. I want to draw a horizontal line. All right, so what I need to do is to turn on my ortho mode. I want the line to be straight, so I'm turning on my ortho mode, click line, and then I click where I want to start the line. All right, there are two ways to do this. I'm clicking where I want to start the line. The value that I'm seeing is 4,499. But the line that I'm going to draw is 100 millimeter. So what I'm going to do is to move my crosshair closer to the starting point of the line, and then I zoom up. When I zoom up, I want to see a value closer to what I'm going to draw. I'm seeing 168. That's good. So I type in 100 and press enter, press escape button to detach the line. Then I can zoom. All right. If I measure, I can see that this is 100 millimeters long. All right. So there I have my line. Now look at this. If I click the line here, click line command, what I did, I zoom in. No, I zoom out a little. And the value that I'm seeing is 12,007.60. If I type 100 here and I press enter and press escape, I'm seeing a little dot. That's because the line that I'm drawing is only 100 and the value that I was seeing is 12,000 something. All right, so you have to ensure that you can see a value close to what you're drawing, or else you're gonna be wondering where is the line. All right, but if it's a case where you draw the line and you're seeing the dot, you can go over to the navigation bar here and click zoom extents. All right, and then the line will come up, and then all you will need to do is to zoom out a bit. All right, so that's how we draw the line. Let's try circle. All right, so I'm gonna type circle this time, CIRCLE, enter. The command line is asking me to specify center point of the circle. Say I want the circle to be here. All I need to do, click here, and then command line will ask me again to specify the radius of the circle. Now the radius is going to be, let's use 30. 30 as the radius, so I type 30 and then I press enter. That's my circle. Now let's do this again. Circle, specify the center. I'm going to use the diameter this time, but the command line is asking me to specify the radius of the circle. And then if you read everything that is in the command line, it will say or diameter. All right, so it says or diameter. So I'm using diameter as 60. So I click diameter and then I enter 60. And there I have the circle. All right. So the first one, the radius was 30, which means that the diameter will be 60. But in the second one, I use the diameter instead to draw it. All right. So that's a line and that's a circle. In your own time, you can play around with things like arc and stuff like that. Now let's look at the modify section. We just used two commands from draw. Let's look at modify. All right, the first one in modify that I want us to look at is move. But before we get to that, I want you to know that there are two ways how you can highlight something in AutoCAD. Well, three. All right, you can say this circle. You can just go ahead and click this circle if I want to highlight it. And then I can go and click move. This icon stands for move in the ribbon. This icon stands for move. Or I can type MOVE, press enter, and then it will ask me to specify the base point. So in other words, it's asking me to specify where I want to move the object from. If I want to move the object from here or from the center, I need to click in the center and then I can move it however I want to move it. All right. If you realize the circle is not, it's not moving freely. It's only moving at 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360. Means that you need to turn off your ortho mode and then you will be able to move it freely. So I'm going to put it over there. All right, so that's how we move. Now look at this. I'm going to highlight this circle. If I click to the right of the circle and I move to the left, you realize I'm seeing a green box. All right, if I click to the left, let go the mouse, move it to the right now, I'm seeing a blue box. These are two different methods. Now look at this. I'm gonna click to the right, move a little, over the circle and click, you realize that the circle was highlighted. Now, if I click to the left, move to the right a little, and I click, nothing happens. The only way I click to the left and move to the right, the only way I can highlight this is if I cover the object entirely. Alright, so I have to cover the entire object for it to highlight. But if I click to the right and I see green, move to the left and I touch just a little part of it, then the object will highlight. So those are two ways. So if I want to highlight everything here, click to the click to the right, move to the left. I can click move and then I'm able to move everything. All right. Sometimes you will need to move, say, this icon and place it in the center of the circle. All I need to do is to highlight it, click move, click the end point of the circle, and then just move it to the center until it snaps there, and I see the little rectangle coming up saying that's the center. All right. So that's how you move. Now let's look at copy. For copy, if I want to copy this, all I need to do, click to the right, move to the left, highlight everything, and then I type copy, COPY, enter. Specify where I want to copy it from. I want to copy it from this endpoint. I'm gonna paste it in the center. I'm gonna paste it again. So it allows you to paste it over and over until you end the command. So you will have to end the command by pressing escape. So alright. So when I press escape, then you realize that the other one that was being copied, it disappeared. All right, that's how you use copy. All right, let's look at rotate. All right, if I want to rotate everything, again, you click, highlight, type rotate, specify where you want to rotate it from. I'm going to rotate it from this endpoint and turn it vertical. All right. Um, if I want it to be straight, I can turn on my tracking, my polar tracking, or my ortho mode, and I realize that I can rotate it. All right. Um, let's look at trim or mirror. Let's look at mirror first. Now, I know everyone has a mirror at home. And what happens when you stand in front of a mirror? You get a reflection, right? So it's the same thing in AutoCAD. If you're mirroring something, you're reflecting it based on a mirror line. So let us reflect, let us mirror this. All right, so I'm gonna highlight everything, type mirror, or I can click this icon up here. All right, this is mirror. So I type mirror, press enter, and it tells me to specify the mirror line. I'm gonna use my mirror line. So I must have the mirror line somewhere here or somewhere here. I want to see the reflection somewhere down here. So I'm gonna click at the endpoint. I'm gonna move to the right, or I could move to the left, right? Because you just imagine the mirror being right in between these two. That's how you get the reflection. So you have to draw the mirror line, and the mirror line must be straight if you want it to mirror straight. All right, so look at it. As I'm moving this around, you realize you're seeing the reflection of the object. But if I want it to be straight, it means that the mirror line must be straight. To get a straight line, you have to turn on ortho mode or you turn on the tracking. All right, so that's my straight line. Once I click to confirm it, it will ask me if I want to erase the source object. No, I do not want to erase the source object. So I type N for no, or I can go in the command line and click no. Once I do that, then they're all there. All right. Now, the last one that I want to look at, or the second to last one that I want to look at is trim. Now, I can trim off these pieces of lines that are in the circle. How do I do that? I type trim, right? So it's very easy. You just type what you want the computer to do, and it does it. All right, with a little reading and following of instructions, of course. So I want to trim something, so I type trim, press enter, and it in 2022 it automatically makes everything a cutting plane. All right. So once something is intersecting, then it allows you to trim it. But in other version, in lower versions of the program, you might have to right click in the space, right click in the join space for it to happen. All right. So let me type trim again and press enter. And then all I need to do is to click on the lines in here and it will allow me to trim them off. All right. I want to trim off this as well. So once I do that, then I can trim the lines that are inside of the circle. All right, so that's trim. Now, the last command I want to use before we go is offset. All right, so I'm going to draw another line. I'm going to draw this line 300 millimeter long. So all I need to do, click line. I want the line to be straight so I can turn on my tracking or I can turn on ortho mode. Click where I want the line. I follow the guide that is here. I want the line to be 300, so I type 300, press enter. Right? Now offset. Offset works where when you want to create something like a parallel line. So you have a line already, you have a baseline, and you want to make something from make a reference from there. You want a line to be referenced from there. So for example, if I highlight this line and I type offset, or you click this icon in the modify section, all right? Uh, it will ask me to specify the offset distance. I want to offset it 50 millimeters. So I type 50 in the command line, press enter, and then once I move my mouse, I am able to get a replica of the line 50 millimeters from the original one on either side I want it. All right, let me do that again. Highlight the line, going to click the icon this time, specify 50, and then I can move it whichever way I want. All right, so those were just a few of the commands that are in the program that I know when you're just starting to draw, you will be able to, you will be required to use those. All right, so that's how we use them. Before we go, let me just say what the version of the program I'm using is AutoCAD Architecture 2022, but sometimes you start your program it might look like this. But a little secret is that when I'm in home here, I'm seeing things like wall, doors, roof slab, stairs, space, ceiling grid, and all of that. But because I'm not doing building drawings now, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna have to get another version of AutoCAD to do my basic drawings. There's a way to change this. There's a way to change this, and I'm going to show you how. To change this, you just need to type menu in the command line. That's menu, press enter, and then you see it says select customization file at the top here. So the one that we were in is ACA. So we're changing it to ACAD. We're changing it to ACAD and then we press open. Once we change it to ACAD and press open, we get the one that we started. That's line, polyline, circle, the one that allows you to do basic annotation. All right. But if you're drawing houses now, you're gonna have to go back into, well, not have to, but it's recommended that you go back into the ACA. ACA is AutoCAD architecture, but we're only using the AutoCAD by itself now. So that's why we're in this one. So if I want to change it back, I just type menu again, press enter, and then I select ACA. All right, and then you realize the ribbon changed. All right, if I want to change it back from this now, I type menu, menu, enter, and then I select ACAD, press open, and then I realize I'm seeing the line, polyline, circle, and all of that. All right, so thanks for watching, and For the next video now, I will be showing you how to do just some basic drawings, some actual drawings with the program. All right. So stay tuned for that one. And I hope you learned something from this video.